So today's presentation, if it works. Oh. Understanding social media. So in this presentation, we're going to go through the basics of social media and kind of what you need to know, but nothing too advanced, the kind of beginner stuff. If it sounds like I'm reading from a script, I am, just to make sure this fits with the time that we've got, because I know we've got Andy with the LMS after. So the learning list for today. So by the end of this session, I want you to be able to understand social media, its history and its uses. Learn why it's important for sensors like yourself to use social media. Consider who you can target using social media, and to grasp the basics of when and what to post on social media. So what is social media? So just quickly, and give you all about 20 seconds, could you put in the chat what you think social media is? It can either be close to the definition or just what you would describe social media as to someone. So you want to pop that into the chat. So we've got online platforms to share and communicate, media type that is social, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, online communication tools, online form of communication, social interaction, social internet interaction, sorry, any form of media that communicates information to groups of people and allows for interaction. So those who have gone for focusing on the content kind, so online platforms to share and communicate, like Sarah said, but with more content focusing, that's correct. But you're all pretty much on the ballpark. But the official definition for social media is a website or application that enables users to create and share content or to participate in social networking, or in layman's terms, a digital space where you can talk and interact with other people through various media. So before I give you a description of when to use social media and how to use social media, we're just going to go through a quick timeline on social media. We're going to go back to about 1997. So it's a year where Elton John and the Spice Girls ruled the charts, and not to mention, I wasn't born. So quite a while ago in my head. The first kind of consensus agreed social media was a website called 6 Degrees. So widely considered the very first social media network. The site allows for users to list their friends, family members, and acquaintances, and the users on 6 Degrees could send messages and post items on a bulletin board, which could be seen by other users. Although the network did begin to decline in 2001, it saw 3.5 million users at its height. After that came Friendster, launched in 2002, so kind of picked up from 6 Degrees leaving off, and it was created as a place where you could make new friends on the internet and connect with people around the world. Obviously, this was kind of like a groundbreaking thing at the time. It's starting to sound familiar though, kind of connect with people from anywhere, speak to anyone, that kind of thing. At its height of popularity, Friendster had around 10 million active users. But it would soon come up against something that I would consider the kind of turning point of social media. So that was MySpace. MySpace launched a year after Friendster in 2003 and quickly became a landmark in the world of social media. The ability to create your own personal profile with blogs, photos, music, and videos created a huge mass appeal for a millennial audience. This showed as its number of users rocketed after a launch. And between the years of 2005 and 2009, MySpace was the largest social media site on the planet, maxing out at around 150 million users. So you're talking a lot more than both Friendster and 6 Degrees had before it. While MySpace was kind of reigning supreme as the social area, a new kind of social network was born. LinkedIn was created as a more professional space, somewhere for you to keep your business and like professional networking separate from telling everyone that you listened to Kylie Minogue for the 152nd time. LinkedIn's connection system created bubbles, which is still in place today, so you might be familiar with it. It's got a first, second, and third connection. So you kind of know if someone's a friend of a friend or a friend of a friend of a friend. So it's quite good for creating those business networking connections, allowing you to speak to people and kind of use that, oh, I know so-and-so, do you know so-and-so? But you already know them. But obviously after LinkedIn and MySpace had reigned for, a year by themselves, I would consider this, and I'm pretty sure all of you would, the main social network. There is a film of it called The Social Network for good reason. Facebook was officially founded in 2004 by a 19-year-old Harvard student named Mark Zuckerberg. Originally a site where male students could rate female students in a hot or not style, Zuckerberg went on to develop the Facebook, a social network for students at Harvard University to meet and network about the classes, interests, and more. Over the past 16 years, Facebook has become the world's #1 social network and currently has around 2.8 billion monthly active users. So that's not at its height, that is now. That's almost 35% of the Earth's population. So yeah, just like that sinking of how many people actually use Facebook and how much of a tool that is. But we'll go on to discuss how you can utilize that later. So following from Facebook's release, the social media world exploded. Sites like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify were released, focusing more on the creation of content and the networking that came from it. Like I said in the definition, it is all around content. Social media isn't just about talking to one person, it's how you do it. It's very rare you'll go onto a site, apart from Twitter nowadays, where people are posting content without some sort of media attached to it. But you can kind of find different nuances between them. So platforms such as Twitter and Snapchat create a variation on the ability to use quick media to communicate, such as video messages that disappear or a limited number of the characters you can post. Not that it stopped anyone from making questionable decisions, including a certain tan gentleman from the US. But what I really want you to take from this is how far social media has come. It's developed. It's a lot like the Access HE qualification and diploma. It has grown over time. It's been a flagship in the advancement in communication in the digital age, and TikTok and apps like TikTok have thrived during the pandemic, providing new ways to connect, allowing businesses to find a starting ground, and has most importantly become a pillar in the modern world. So lots to digest from that one slide, but there's just lots to digest in the social media world. So how many active social media platforms do you know of? I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to go through into the chat and list how many you know. If you want to take some points after, if you get any correct, well done, you can. Unfortunately, your prize will be nothing though. So I'll give you 30 seconds starting now to list as many social media platforms that you know of that are active. Okay, so if everyone wants to put the final ads in, does Teams count? You could count it as a social media platform. Yeah, we'll do that one. I did see Xbox as well. Yeah, I guess Xbox games, you can share messages and communicate with people. So it's quite, you can see from this already that there's quite a wide variety of what you would class as a social network. So on my list, we have Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Spotify, and Twitch. Got LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, SoundCloud, Skype, Instagram, Tumblr, WhatsApp, Messenger, Reddit, Clubhouse, Pinterest, Vimeo, Triller, and Discord. I mean, there's plenty more than that, but I just thought I'd list quite a few that you would know and maybe you didn't know and aren't familiar with. So all social media platforms have various differences. They're not all the same. No one wants to make a product that matches everyone else's. That's why there's so many social media platforms out there. So the differences can include audience, content types, content lifespan, advertising ability, networking method, and usability. These are all the kind of things we're going to have to start considering when posting on social media. So why is social media important? So why should educational centres use social media? Why do we use social media? Why does anyone use social media to kind of grow a business? So now we're talking business sense. increases exposure, it increases web traffic, it allows you to develop a brand personality. You can connect with potential past and present learners. You build a relationship with other organizations, keep an eye on your competitors, and provide authentic news from the source. These are all kind of the main reasons why you would want to post on social media. These could be considered like your content pillars. So who would see your social media? Students. So current students will follow your social media for information about updates, news, events, and more. So you've got to kind of think about the split between your audience. You've got one using social media, especially students who are going to want to keep up to date. I know when I was at college, we used to follow the college's Facebook just to know if we were off on a snow day. But new students might be interested more in like what you're completing as a centre, your case studies, testimonials, and information about what you actually offer. You've got to think of social media as a to and fro conversation. You've got to keep people interested with what you're doing, but also keep them up to date depending on who they are. So you're talking, you might put one message out and focus it on one person, but it can be seen by everyone. You've got your tutors. So like students, they'll probably look at social media more as a message board, keep up to date with the goings on throughout the centre. But you should also be sure to post about, I don't know, any recruitment posts that you've got going on, any successful news about your tutors or students, and kind of show that online community that you've got growing. Awarding organisations. We love to see and share great things that centres providing and students studying at access qualifications and all other qualifications, what they're doing. If you've got someone who's gone from an access course to get a job in the industry after studying, if you've got someone who's successfully completed an access course in quite a first year, I know everyone did last year with the COVID pandemic, it's something we want to hear, we want to share, we want to show everyone, because you're our centres and we're your ABA. That's the kind of link we want between you, and that's why social media is important. Government parties, so organisations such as government officials, your local MP, Ofqual and other organisations may even take note of your social media. It's open to everyone and anyone can look at it. So you need to think about the content you'll generate. Is it going to interest one person, or could it potentially have a main audience but secondary audiences as well? Yeah, feel-good stories, such things like that. So which social media can you use? So there's 5, so I'm just going to quickly skim through it. Of the 5 different social medias that are available to people and that I would recommend you use at least 1 up to 3 of these, because keeping them up to date is very intense. So what goes where, for who, when? Facebook. So the maximum number of posts you want to see on Facebook is about 2 a day, and your optimum post time will be between 7 and 2, and then 4 to 6, especially for any educational centres, because you're going to catch that evening viewing and also the midday viewing. Content after being posted on Facebook lasts about 2.5 hours. The audience profile for Facebook age ranges between 18 and 44 as their majority user. So you're looking at older students, past students, and community members. So, and the general use for Facebook is sharing a range of content with friends and family, but this content is more friendly and informal. For business use, you want to consider it to be people who are engaging with your content. So Facebook can lead to longer content. So things like event posts, big blog posts about anything that you've got going on, or new qualifications, or even case studies is a great place to put on. Facebook's a great place for that kind of stuff. Twitter. So the maximum posts a day, 3 is a maximum, or you could spew stuff out all day, but realistically you want to focus it and keep it controlled. So you can post between 9 and 3 and then 5 and 7. A lot of these will show 2 different post times, but content on Twitter lasts a lot shorter of a time. It's only 18 minutes. So you've got to think about when you're posting and when your audience are going to be looking. The audience profile for Twitter is a little bit older than Facebook from the bottom end. So about 25 to 34. It is an older platform now, and it is quite a business-focused platform. Although LinkedIn is mainly for that, this is where kind of real-world things happen. Twitter is quite a toxic place at times because of the age of the people operating on it. But the customer type you want to kind of focus on, are the people, the audience type is awarding organisations, educational bodies, and other centres. They're the people who are really going to be focusing on Twitter. It's mainly for quick digestible content, so it can be seen as the loud and obnoxious member of the social media family. But for business use, it's a place to share quick news and also react to current events, promote quick content such as events, vacancies, quick updates, or enrollment dates potentially. LinkedIn, the main business platform for social media. So the maximum number of posts per week you want to look at is about 3. Content lasts about 48 hours. So you've got to think you're posting up and then it's going to last 2 days. People may still read it 2 days later. So if you start posting every day, is that the same subject? If it's something different, you might be all right. But if you're posting the same thing every day throughout a week, people are just going to get bored of your content and stop following you. The optimum time is in the morning. We find a lot of people look at LinkedIn in the morning or throughout the day, but obviously with the content lasting so long, that is a benefit and like kind of a bit of leeway. The audience profile for LinkedIn is similar to Twitter. Obviously, it's got quite a similar older audience. So you're looking at all organizations, educational bodies, other centers, or even educational professionals. As I previously mentioned a couple of times, it is a lot of business content. So things that can be motivational and uplifting, sometimes pique their head. And it's a great place to share news about your business growth and make announcements. As I've just mentioned, for business use, you want to engage with people and to engage with partners, awarding organizations, maybe even the colleges, and make big announcements. LinkedIn loves big news. Anything that people can congratulate you on or even jump on the bandwagon with, it's just a brilliant thing on LinkedIn. Instagram. So you want to post on Instagram about 3 times a week at maximum. This is kind of a bit of an iffy one for me. We personally don't use Instagram at AIM because we're not very visual the majority of the time. We normally like a little bit of words in there. But for Instagram, especially for centres, you are looking at a greatly younger audience, starting at about 14 years old. You can share images and short videos with your following, and Instagram is really the more visually dependent social media. So anything that looks pretty or looks happy or looks interesting, slap it on Instagram. It's a brilliant place. And it also uses hashtags as well. So it's another way of gaining some more exposure. Finally, TikTok. Now, as someone who doesn't use TikTok, I just thought a lot of people would enjoy it being in there. So the maximum amount you want to post on TikTok is 4 a day, because as soon as you post content, it instantly decays. It instantly just disappears into the void that TikTok has produced. You can pretty much post any time of the day and get a large number of views. You kind of guaranteed with that kind of thing. The main interest with TikTok is the age of the audience. It starts at around 10. That's the youngest that they've got people signing up for. Obviously, there is a limit to the age you can sign up for certain content. So that's something to be aware of. But it's great for younger audiences, especially at this time during a time where people aren't going out as much and they're enjoying their phones. It is the newest addition to the social media family, only being a couple of years old. And it's really good for just jumping on, not very like majorly professional things, but a lot more of the latest trends and kind of just joining in with what's going on in the world. It's not somewhere you want to really promote something that you're like, oh, wow, make sure to pay attention to this. It's kind of throwaway content that you can put out there. So the 3 keys of content. Content is built out of 3 keys or pillars. The engagement. So these are questions you want to ask yourself before you make a post, before you click send or post. Does your content have a point? It's kind of pointless posting without a point. Does the post add value, knowledge, or entertainment? Does it do something for the audience? If not, then there may not even be a point writing it or posting it. Will your audience be interested in the post? It kind of jumps off the back of the other 2. Yeah. If you post something you think it adds knowledge, but your audience won't find it interesting, you're kind of wasting your breath. And will the post achieve its goal? Does your post have a goal? If not, why are you posting it? You kind of need to consider that before clicking send. Imagery. So we've mentioned a lot about the media that goes along in social media. So is it videos, pictures, GIFs, animations, anything? So what will draw the user's attention? How can you make the post stand out? And what media can you use? Obviously, we've gone through certain websites limit or social media limit what media can be used and how it can be used. Action. So what is the goal for the post? What is the action? And what is the call to action? And are you posting with a purpose? That's the main thing I want you to take away from this. Social media is about posting with a purpose, not just posting. And also, where are you sending them? So if you're posting something about a new product, do you link to that product in the post? If not, how are they supposed to find it? You've got to kind of go on the assumption that people want everything on social media handed to them. You need to hold their hand through the entire process of getting them somewhere. So a couple of examples of our campaigns. So we have the Creating Happy Customers, which is feedback that we hear from centres and learners. It's great to hear back from people. And if you've ever had a positive story you want to share with us, feel free to send it to us on our inquiries email. Another quite popular social media campaign we ran was the Access to Higher Education Diploma Nursing and Midwifery post. So we got quotes from past Access to HE students who studied nursing and midwifery, and that did very well. That was something a lot of people were happy to read about, and a lot of people were happy to find out more about if they're interested in that kind of career. And finally, a really special piece of content we normally do is the day in the life. So this kind of introduces you to a couple of members of our team and what they do in their daily life at AIM. Does it work? I've put an upwards graph. That's pretty much the best data that I can show without getting too in-depth and complicated. But social media, if you post consistently, does work. You'll see dips and flows, you'll see inconsistent growth, you'll see consistent growth. But regardless, as long as you're posting on social media, your social media will grow. So how can you get started with social media? Take the dive. Social media takes trial and error. We know it, and everyone who's successful at it knows it. It can be time consuming as well. So you need to go in and see what works. You want to trial and error and constantly work at it. So make sure to just start today, make a post, and you'll see it's got some sort of domino effect. Interact with everyone. The idea of social media is to be social. So interact with learners, tutors, and or organizations or ABAs. Also using hashtags for platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok is brilliant. It's a great way to gain exposure with people you wouldn't normally interact with. We'll be actually sending out a hashtag sheet quite soon. It will be going to everyone who's attended this session and the conference with hashtags you can use related to Access to Higher Education and to advertise that to students or future students. Be proud of the content you create. So that's kind of going back to posting with a purpose. If you don't want to read your content, no one else will. It's just the very blunt message. To stay in the loop as well. Social media platforms and trends change all the time. So make sure you're not missing out on your target audience by using the wrong post or platform. This can kind of be keeping your ear to the ground a little bit, but it doesn't take hours of research to know what's doing well and what's not. So final thoughts. So what social media campaigns do you think would appeal to you and learners? If you just want to drop your messages in the chat, I'll give you 30 seconds. Success stories, links to video for study skills, student finance info. Okay, so it seems like useful content for students and success stories of actual students as well, kind of where they've gone well, or even centres where they've been studying well. That's definitely something that obviously we can work on, and it may be something that you find useful as well. You know, asking your students around where they've done well, or picking one out at the end of every year or every term, someone who's done something very well and kind of doing a little piece on that. They're normally areas that people want to read in greatly. So thank you very much for listening. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm not sure how long we've got until the next session. I think we've got about 2 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat, and then we'll move over to Andy's session on the learning management system. That's not something we've thought of, Sarah, to be honest, but it would probably be something that we might look into more. Yeah, definitely something we'll note down and think about creating potentially a group for Access to HE teachers from our various AIM centres. Okay, so if that's all the questions that everyone's got, we'll just be back in a second, and then we'll join Andy for his introduction into the learning management system. Thanks everyone for listening.